We begin this afternoon with breaking news. Christopher Schurr has taken the stand in his murder trial for the death of Patrick Lyoya. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Susan Shaw. Schurr began his testimony this morning talking about his background and his training. He was also questioned about the traffic stop and struggle with Lyoya. News 8's Brittany Flowers has been following this case all week long. She joins us live from outside the courthouse right now. And Brittany, what is Schurr saying about what
Sue,
was
in the first 90 minutes on the stand, the former officer was under questioning by one of his defense attorneys. Schurr telling the jury that he was afraid he would die that day. They're trying to show his state of mind when he pulled his weapon and shot Patrick Lyoya in the back of the head on April 4th, 2022. Schurr testified that he had no idea who was in Lyoya's car when he pulled it over for having an invalid plate. He said Lyoya refused to comply with his commands, that Lyoya pushed him away, that he grew exhausted during the struggle, which is why he tried to use his taser. He talked about the fight over the taser in the final few moments, that he had no idea the taser had been fired a second time.
What were you fearful of?
That he was going to use it on me and I was going to die.
So what did you do next?
I shot him.
Why?
I believed that if I hadn't done it at that time, I wasn't going to go home.
Schurr was on the stand for a little more than 3 hours. Court just broke for lunch. We expect at least one more witness. For now, live in downtown Grand Rapids, Brittany Flowers, News 8.
Okay, Brittany, thank you for the latest outside the courtroom. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who is representing Patrick Lyoya's family in a civil lawsuit, is also in court today. He arrived at the courthouse this morning. He said to show support for the Lyoya family. We asked him about what he thought about the trial so far and the testimony from Grand Rapids police captains about Schurr's training, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, that's why you have national experts looking at this, because when you have hometown people, they have a hometown bias. They knew Schurr, they knew their families and so forth. Patrick Lyoya deserves the same consideration as Mr. Schurr and his friends who have, life experience, life culture with him. They don't have that kind of relationship with Patrick Lyoya and his family. So we just pray for equal justice, nothing more, equal justice.
Crump went on to say that the video is clear and this was an unjustified shooting of an unarmed black man. And joining us right now to talk about the trial and Christopher Schurr's testimony so far, criminal defense attorney Anastasi Marcu, who has been following this case. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Marcu.
You're welcome.
Well, so this is the first time that we've heard Schurr talk about the incident. In his testimony, what stood out to you so far?
Well, it's clear that the defense was trying to make sure that the testimony established the elements necessary to assert a self-defense claim. So that's one thing that stood out to me, is that the defense lawyers were really clear in making sure that that was established on the record. The second part of it, I thought, was the tone and the manner in which he testified. I think that also stood out to me. It was kind of sedate, was not a lot of emotion, and I'm not sure how the jury's going to perceive that.
Right. They talked a lot about his former training as well and seemed to really expand on that a little bit. Are you surprised about that at all?
No, it's been the key focus of this case from both sides, is his training and whether or not that's relevant, and if it is, how that plays into a claim of self-defense. The judge is going to instruct the jury on self-defense. There's no question about that. In one of the instructions, the jury is supposed to consider it from the point of view of the person who's asserting self-defense. And because he's a police officer, some of those facts are probably going to be relevant for the jury to determine if he acted reasonably in fear of his life when he pulled the trigger that day.
In listening to his testimony, do you feel he's helping or hurting his case? Are you surprised he took the stand?
I'm not surprised he took the stand. I do not believe he's hurting his case. Whether he's helping it, that's more of a judgment call, and how the jury perceives the way he acted in court and kind of his mannerisms and his tone and his behavior. But he did not heard his case today. I've spent time considering what the prosecutor did on cross-examination, and I don't think that any of that really hurt his case. And he's clearly established that in his own mind, he felt that he was going to die if he didn't do what he did. Whether the jury believes that is ultimately the question in this case.
Okay, certainly interesting. We appreciate your perspective on this and your insight. Attorney Anastasi Marcoux, thank you for joining us today on News 8 at noon.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Make sure and stay with us on News 8. We do have continuing coverage of the Schurr trial from start to finish. We're airing it in its entirety on woodtv.com and Wood TV Plus.